Assalamu. So, my name is Abdullah bin Faisal, and I will be the absolutely honored and humble to have all of you. I will start by introducing all our speakers for today. Subash, who is a first year MBBS student at AKU. We have Ms. Ryan Imran, who is a first year MBBS student. But without any further delay, I will be handing over the stage to our speakers. First of all, I would request Tushar to please go forward, and he can take the next slide, and we can officially begin. So Tushar, go ahead.
Alright, guys. Hi, assalamu alaikum. My name is Tushar, and I'm a first year medical student at AK, at AKU. As you know, this webinar is, as the name suggests, the end game. And over here today, we'll be discussing a few tips and key strategies to tackle both the AKU and NMDCAT tests. Starting with the dates, first of all. We all know the AKU test was delayed, and now the new date is the 13th of August, and it's exactly 9 days from now. So you got like a bit over a week, and you basically should know how to utilize that week. Just after your AKU test, you'll be having your NMDCAT test, and I believe the dates for that would be from the 7th of September to the 30th of September. And you still got over a month for that, so you can prepare well just after your AQ test as well. We also have come to know that there would be an MDCAT test for the international students on the 1st of October, and an MDCAT test for the COVID positive candidates on the 6th of October. Ryan, if you would please change the slide. Okay, over to you, Ryan.
Okay, hey everyone, I hope I'm audible. My name is Ryan Imran, and so I really want to talk about the syllabus of the Archon as well as the NMDCAT test, and of course, what are the passing criteria, and of course, the syllabus as well to a certain degree. So, the Archon test consists of course, two sections, one being the pure science section, which consists of 20 questions of physics, biology, and chemistry. All of these three have 20 questions. Similarly, on the logical reasoning section, sorry, not logical reasoning section, the scientific reasoning section and math reasoning section, you have 20 questions each as well. Now, you need to pass two of these individual sections separately in order to clear the Al-Khan test. In addition to all of this, you also will have to sorry, you won't have to, but there is a negative marking of 0.25 for every wrong answer you get on the pure science section. However, on the part where you have the reasoning, the math reasoning and science reasoning, you do not have any negative marking. All right. So that would be the Arkhan's paper pattern. In addition to this, Arkhan's syllabus is far greater compared to the NMDCAT. Of course, it consists of almost all the topics from our boards of it could be the federal board book or the Punjab board book, and of course, the syllabus is available online as well on their website. Hence, it is very important to, of course, compare the NMDCAT and Arkhan syllabus. Now, how would you prepare for it separately? Because many people do consider, they consider if they should prepare for the Arkhan test separately and the NMDCAT test separately. So I'll come back to that. But first, I really want to highlight what is the pattern of the questions in the NMDCAT. So the NMDCAT, as Tushar just mentioned, is going to be from the 7th to 30th of September. And of course now PMC has updated the syllabus accordingly, and the questions have been changed. And by the questions, I mean that biology section has 68 questions, chemistry has 54 questions, physics has 54 questions, English has 18 questions, and logical reasoning has 6 questions. So when we sum all of that up, we have a total number of 200 questions. All right. And of course, the passing percentage for by PMC for the NMDCAT is 65%. So you need to get at least a 65% in order to clear the NMDCAT. And because it has been conducted, because PMC has stated that in order to apply to any private university, you also need to clear the MDCAT. So if you were to appear in the R contest, you can only get admission there if you were to clear the NMDCAT. So that is something to consider. Okay. Score expectations every single year. Paper pattern for the NMDCAT is compared to the Archon syllabus. It is far more concise and, of course, far more high yielding. So when you're preparing for the Archon test, you automatically prepare for the NMDCAT test because the PMC syllabus and its content that it has for your NMDCAT already consists of the very high yield points that are similar to Archon's test. Yes, Archon does have more chapters such as kingdoms and whatnot, but of course that has to be studied as well. Now, Archon's score expectation varies because, of course, it depends on the threshold, and and of course you need to pass both the sections and then, inshallah, the interview as well, which we can talk later about. But that is primarily it. And of course, then we have the merit and quota system, and the passing criteria, as I mentioned, for the NMDCAT being 65% and whatnot. So I think that should be it regarding the syllabus and the expectations. So I'm going to hand it over back to Tushar.
Um, so I think Ryan pretty much summarized the slide very well. In the end, I would just like to emphasize on the last 3 points कि जो ये score expectations हैं, basically the passing criteria. The AQ test does not have a fixed cutoff, and it can vary from as low as 60% to as high as 80%. So speaking about my personal experience, जब मैं और अब्दुल्ला test के लिए appear हुए थे last year, I believe the cutoff was 60 and 57% for maths, for the reasoning part, and for the sciences, although or the other way around. Yeah, and what I mean to say is that I believe a few years back it went up as high as 70 or 80%. So the passing criteria of this is basically the cutoff. It's not fixed and it can change this year as well. And it just depends on basically ये होता है कि AKU has this slot कि इतने students they would pass on to the interview stage, and so जो आखिरी लड़का या लड़की होता है and basically वो जितने marks achieve करता है, that becomes your cutoff. And that's how your passing criteria is selected. And again, the quota system is for the for most of the government universities, but talking about AKU specifically, there is no as such quota system. The only thing that works here for the test at least is the merit, and once you're done with the test and you are within the cutoff limit, you pass it on to the next stage, that's interview. And uske baad it's just a stage to form and your interview that really does all the wonders. But we'll talk about the interview in maybe another webinar soon enough. And yeah, so that's pretty much from my side. I would like to hand it over to Mohsin now.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. How are you? सब कैसे हैं? And अच्छा तो we have a comparison of the AKU entrance exam with the NMDCAT. And as you can see, the basic difference between the two exams is the number of questions they have. Difficulty पे जरा बाद में जाते हैं. अभी let's just focus on the technicalities, and that is that AKU has 100 MCQs, and it has, as Rayan already mentioned, 5 portions which are grouped into two. You have biology, physics, chemistry, which are grouped into the pure science or the science achievement portion, and then you have 20 MCQs for mathematical reasoning and 20 MCQs for science reasoning, which are grouped into the reasoning portion. So that is the distribution of MCQs in AKU. NMDCAT में it's a different, because NMDCAT does not have mathematical reasoning or science reasoning. It just has 6 MCQs of logical reasoning, and then it has 18 MCQs of English. So this is a little bit of difference between the AKU and the NMDCAT. And obviously, since AKU has a less number of MCQs, the total time would be less. And since NMDCAT has more MCQs, the total time for MDCAT would be more. The total time for AQU is 120 minutes, यानी कि 2 घंटे हैं आपके पास to solve the AQU exam. And for an NMDCAT, you have 3.5 hours, which approximates to 210 minutes. अब अगर देखा जाए तो ये है कि the time that you get in the AQU exam is time per MCQ. It's around 1 minute per MCQ. ठीक है, it's greater than 1 minute. But in NMDCAT, you barely get a minute. ठीक है, तो आपके पास 1 मिनट है in NMDCAT and you have a little above 1 minute in the AKU exam. Now, how does that translate to a difference between AKU and NMDCAT? And how does that translate to a difference in time management techniques in the AKU test and the NMDCAT? बात ये कि AKU की जो डिफिकल्टी है ना, इट्स अ लिटिल बिट मोर देन NMDCAT. ठीक है, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है. AKU test is a bit more conceptual. It has a syllabus that is much more extensive as compared to the NMDCAT. And AKU is a paper-based test. ठीक है, you get a bubble sheet and then you get an answer booklet which is paper-based. So that these are the major differences between the test itself. And obviously, when you have difficult questions, you take more time to solve them. ये सिंपल सी एक बात है. 2+2=4 वाली बात है कि जब मुश्किल क्वेश्चन होते हैं तो यू टेक मोर टाइम टू सॉल्व देम. एंड व्हेन यू टेक मोर टाइम टू सॉल्व देम तो एंड पे आपके पास टाइम कम बच जाता है. सो फॉर AKU आपके पास रीचेकिंग के लिए टाइम कम बचेगा, which would be around 20 minutes. And keeping in mind the difficulty level of this test and keeping in mind the number of questions in AKU, it's okay. ठीक है, and you could probably do with a less time, but more is always better. How do you manage that? ठीक है, when you go into the test ना, तो whatever sequence that you have, usually it's the science achievement portion first. So you start doing that, and what my time management technique is that since you can go through the entire paper, start solving and focus on the easy ones first and the medium ones first, and whatever hard question that you find that you cannot solve at the moment, encircle it and just go in with the flow and do everything. And once you're done, then come back to the difficult questions and do them. NMDCAT में how does that shift? NMDCAT में it's computer based exam ना. You have the test on your tabs, on the PMC tabs, so you can like go in a single flow. ठीक है, whenever you see a question that is difficult, you can click the skip button and then you can move on. So what the difference between AKU and NMDCAT is कि NMDCAT में if you want to skip a question, you just have to click a single button. Or AKU में if you want to like skip a question for the time being ना, so then you just have to like ignore that question for the time being. NMDCAT में easy questions की proportion ना ज़्यादा होती है, and you have like bookish questions as well. तो अब जो बात आ जाती है ना कि आपके पास वो बुकिश और इजी क्वेश्चंस हैं, हमने तो कह दिया कि यू हैव अराउंड अ मिनट एंड 3 seconds per MCQ. All the MCQs do not require the same time. अब आई रिमेंबर कि जब मेरा ये टेस्ट था तो there was a question like that the energy currency used by the cell is, an option was ATP. So I just like encircle that option. I just clicked on it and I solved it. अब उसके अंदर तो मुझे 1 मिनट नहीं लगेगा, and I don't think कि किसी को भी उसमें 1 मिनट लगेगा. But so you can save time and then utilize it on the difficult questions. And as you go through the NMDCAT, तो आप जो क्वेश्चन आपको आता है, the questions that are easy, उसको आप उसी वक्त solve कर दें. And then when a difficult question pops up, read it, give it a read, and if you think के right now I cannot think about it, बाद में मुझे शायद इसका आंसर आ जाए, तो just click on the skip button and move on. That is how you manage time during your NMDCAT, and you should always make sure that you have around half an hour for rechecking, because most of the times when you do things in a flow na, तो and when we are like actively solving questions, तो हम तेजी में and in haste we tend to make mistakes, small mistakes. X. So like refrain from that. Baki so it's I think it from my side. Just the bottom line is that the AQ test has less number of MCQs. It will be a little bit more difficult than your NMDCAT, and it has an equal proportion of MCQs from each subject. Physics, biology, chemistry both have 20. All of them have 20 MCQs each, and so 20 MCQs for mathematics reasoning and science reasoning as well. Whereas NMDCAT has an unequal proportion, which will be like helpful in figuring how to study and how to prepare for MDCAT. That we'll talk about later in this webinar. But this is the bottom line. You should, you can all see, and I hope you understood. So I'll be passing it to Tushar. Tushar, you can continue.
All right. Thank you so much, Austin. Guys, these are some of the tips that I believe I could have used made time pay, and so make sure that you guys follow these tips, because really you would be acing your exams, not just AQ entry test, but all entry tests if you keep up with these tips. So next on this slide we have basically a pura layout here, how you should go about preparing, and then onwards towards the end phase, right? So as you can already see, we are literally close towards the end phase, and we guys already have gone through the initial phase and preparatory phase, where I believe you would have used all the resources that you could have used, and all the resources that we have suggested you in our previous webinars as well, and all the essential resources that you would have been guided about by your seniors. So again, you still have about a week, and what you can do towards in this last week is maximum practice and strengthening not just your weak concepts but also strong concepts, because अक्सर देखा जाता है कि जो concepts हमें लगता है are strong towards the exam, we don't work on them, and kind of वो चीज़ें they just slip out of our heads, right? So I would just emphasize on this again and again कि आखिरी के एक हफ्ते में या आखिरी के 9 दिनों में make proper use of this time, because you again got an extension of your exam date, and I believe you got over 2 weeks for that. So or you guys already know of great resources to prepare for, and I would again suggest the website Premedical.pk itself has great content on it. It has basically all the content summed up in just one website, and it's not just this website. Basically, any resource that you find relevant, any resource that you have been suggested to by your seniors, just make proper use of that, so that when you appear for the test, you are ready for it, right? Okay, you know what you would be facing. Basically, any question that comes up, just make sure that तुम्हारी तैयारी इतनी अच्छी हो कि you are able to tackle those questions really well, right? And again, in the end, I would just suggest कि practice and pray, and inshallah next year you guys will be studying in your dream universities. So now I'll be passing on to Ryan. Ryan, are you here?
Yes, I am. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Awesome. So now that Tushar has amazingly explained everything regarding the Aga Khan pathway, I shall be talking about the NMDCAT pathway. So initial phase, obviously, जब शुरुआत होती है, then obviously you're tensed up, stressed होता है, सब कुछ मसाइल बहुत होते हैं. But let's take everything one step at a time. So सबसे पहले you gotta look at your interbooks. Interbooks are the fundamental foundation of the PMC MDCAT. अब आप पर बोलोगे यार कौन सी किताबें हैं कि क्या क्या है, ठीक है? Of course, ideally to what the PMC syllabus functions is that they usually are more biased towards the federal board books. Okay, the federal board book for biology, the federal board book for chemistry, and the KPK board book for physics. That is primarily it. The books that PMC is biased towards, but that does not mean that Punjab board books are not good. Those are pretty good as well. The thing is, other books are pretty good too. And the reason that I'm saying this is because yes, although yes, I understand there will be some contradicting parts between the different provincial books. However, क्या फायदा है कि हर लाइक फिजिक्स इज फिजिक्स राइट. आप ये तो नहीं कह सकते कि स्पीड ऑफ लाइट इस किताब में 10 मीटर पर सेकंड लिखी, उसमें 3x/8 लिखी. दैट वोंट चेंज राइट. इट्स अ फैक्ट. फिजिक्स डजंट चेंज, बायोलॉजी डजंट चेंज. एक दिन पीएमसी का दिल चाहे कि वही हम लोग दूसरी किताब में की बात कर ली, इसका मतलब ये तो नहीं कि दूसरी किताब में हमारे डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम बदल गया. दैट्स नॉट गोना हैपन राइट. वी आर स्टिल गोना हैव द सेम स्टफ. So that is something to obviously look into. The next step is to cover the syllabus conceptually. Now, Allah ka lakh shukr hai that the PMC syllabus that has been drafted by PMC, of course, is very, very stepwise and organized. One good thing that came out of it. Okay, so what is there? That's the first and the second chapter, let's say, of biology. The first chapter cell biology hoga, the second chapter usi cell biology ko build karte karte agle chapter pe jayega. So that is simply building upon the syllabus is building upon the final concepts, which should be done step by step. ताकि फिर आप questions करें, of course you can practice. So that is the initial phase. The preparatory phase consists of general practice, and by practice I mean bhai aap sawalat karo. You gotta do questions. Yeah, even if you prepare for the entire syllabus and you don't do questions, you're not gonna make it. आपको question and answers उसके अंदर करने पड़ते हैं. MCQs आप for example Premedical.pk, we provide you smart sets, topical questions आप वो कर सकते हैं. You can do mock tests. Practicing is the way forward. इसके अलावा then you have the progress. You need to track where you're heading, right? ऐसा ना हो blindly बस questions करते गए, कभी गलत कर रहे हो कभी सही करो, आप देखते नहीं हो. That is of course not gonna work. Therefore, guys, so progress ke liye first we on Premedical.pk, for example, we have this function as my database in which we show you your progress on the science portion, and of course the English, the logical reasoning and whatnot, Khan NMDCAT सब के लिए. इसके बाद of course हमारी बात आती है the Khan test, क्योंकि Khan test is of course going to be there as well. You prepare for the Khan test होता है, and जो तुषार बोल रहा था, but you also have to remember कि MDCAT भी है. ऐसा ना आप खान को फोकस करें, MDCAT को भूल ही जाओ, क्योंकि ये एक लैग फेज आता है in which some people they go for the Khan test first and then they just clear it, alhamdulillah जो भी होता है उनके साथ, and they just forget the NMDCAT. बोलते हैं Khan हो गया तो NMDCAT भी कर लेते हैं. They become overconfident. That is not what you're supposed to do. You're gonna have to prepare mentally ना, because अल्लाह ना करे कुछ भी बदल सकता है भाई. किस्मत बड़ी अजीब सी चीज़ है, कुछ भी हो सकता है. So you gotta be prepared, and of course you gotta be working hard to ensure आपकी NMDCAT में भी उतना ही अच्छा रिजल्ट है जितना खान के रिजल्ट में. और इसके बाद it goes without saying you have to pray. मजाक के अलावा duas and prayers change the fate that might have been written for you. So doing that, and inshallah you pass your exams absolutely. And then of course the end phase comes. फिर तो भाई पार्टियां करनी है, ठीक है, मजे करने हैं. एग्जाम के अनाउंसमेंट हो गया, एग्जाम दे दिया, और फिर मजे हैं, छुट्टियां लंबी लंबी छुट्टियां, मजे करो, ठीक है. फिर बस दुआ करते ना साइड पे कि अल्लाह प्लीज रिजल्ट आ जाए, सही है, पास हो गए, यूनिवर्सिटी चले जाए. Do not forget that. So that will be from my side, guys, regarding the NMDCAT pathway. Now I'm going to hand over the sorry, I'm going to hand it over to to Tushar and Mohsin, I believe, if I'm not wrong.
So, what's up, everyone? This is Mila Basas. So, I'll be just giving you guys one of the things that जो NMDCAT में बहुत matter थे, that is do's and don'ts. और especially अब जब आपके पास बहुत कम time रहे, so there are some specific things that you should do and specific things that you should restrain from doing. So पहले हम बात कर लेते हैं कि सबसे पहले तो हमें क्या करना चाहिए. So सबसे as your days are drawing near, one thing that you must make sure is that maximum practice. See, FSC हमने पढ़ा होता है, होता है, content हमने याद किया होता है, stuff in there, like concepts होती हैं, याद की होती हैं चीजें. What matters is the practice. The more you practice, the more आपका brain से शुरू करेगा, and when you will be sitting in the examination hall, you'll be able to solve the MCQs because आपका दिमाग उस तरह train हो चुका है. Just be a second MCQ for you. You need to think in that manner क्योंकि जब एक बार train जाता है. So one thing is that MCQ practice you should maximize day. उसके बाद what happens review strong topics. Why is that? कहते हैं कि okay this is my like strong point. ये topic तो मुझे आते हैं, concept तो मुझे आता है, मुझे तो हम उसे रिवाइज करते हैं. की वजह से होता क्या है कि हमें बेशक वो टॉपिक पहले आता होता है, बट विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम वो हमें भूल जाते हैं जब हम एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में बैठते हैं. तो जो आपके स्ट्रॉन्ग प्लस पॉइंट्स है जो आपको डिफरेंशिएट करेंगे, डू मेक श्योर आप उन्हें रिवाइज करके उन्हें अपना.
Okay, so the thing is that whatever you do, ठीक है, if you have concepts ना, तो you should revise those only. ठीक है, the strong concepts that you need will be the ones that will help you in your NMDCAT or in your AQU. अब बात ये है कि as Rayan mentioned, the concepts are the same. ठीक है, but you should prepare them in the way that helps you solve your AQ as well as your NMDCAT. So for the next few days now before the AQE exam, you should revise your strong concepts. You should like build on them and ensure कि वो तो आपको proper से आती है ना. You know them like the back of your hand. And another thing that you should do is that you should avoid distractions. And distractions can be anything. They can be social media, they can be like अगर आपके कोई मतलब बहुत annoying friends हैं तो they are also distractions. It could be the television, it could be the political situation of the country or anything. ठीक है, anything other than your study is a distraction right now. ठीक है, and other than getting help is a distraction. So you should like avoid them. What instead that you should do is that you should follow a schedule. मतलब आपके पास 9 दिन है before the AQU exam. You should like make a schedule and do कि आज हाँ ठीक है यार, आज मैं साइंस रीजनिंग प्रैक्टिस करनी है, आज मैंने मैथ रीजनिंग प्रैक्टिस करनी है, या बड़ी देर हो गई है, आई हैवंट स्टडीड केमिस्ट्री, आई शुड गो बैक टू इट, or I should like study physics. I think I'm lagging a bit in force and motion, so I should like revise those concepts. क्योंकि I think it might come up in the exam, or I'll talk about high yield topics later on. But what you should do is that you should follow a schedule. And one thing that you shouldn't do is that overburden yourself. Okay, I don't think it's possible to revise everything in these 9 days. Okay, honestly, I don't. So whenever you're stuck on a difficult topic, just leave it. Why are you wasting your time on a difficult topic which may or may not come in the exam? ठीक है, एक 80-20 रूल होता है कि 80% of your exam is going to come from 20% of your preparation. So just focus on the 20% right now, revise your strong concepts, and don't go for long textbooks. I don't think you can do the revise them right now. And even if you try, okay, even if you try, you're obviously going to like focus on one thing instead of all five. Okay, instead of everything. If you're going to like open the biology textbook and do that entirely, you're not going to be able to focus on chemistry or physics, and that might actually harm you in the long run. You have to realize that all subjects have equal weightage, and if you want to take care of all the subjects, you'll have to revise the strong points of all the subjects and not go for long textbooks. And one thing that you shouldn't do, okay, and I speak from personal experience, is that you shouldn't be going around and asking for advice. Trust in yourself. Okay, you've studied for more than 2 months, you've studied for a month, or this journey has begun like after your inter exams, after your A level exams. Have faith in yourself. ठीक है, पढ़ा है, you've studied 2 years in inter and in A levels, you'll like prepared thoroughly in these 2 months as well. So like have faith in yourself. And people in these days now usually go around asking ke bhai, should I do this as well, or should I do this as well, what if the test comes around very hard. Don't do that. Okay, and just do whatever you have done during your preparation. Practice, revise your strong concepts, and like follow a schedule. And one thing, that a day or two before the actual exam, take a break, put a stop to everything, and just like take a deep breath and go into the exam. Don't overwork yourself. Be full of energy while going into the exam. That is very important. And we'll be now moving on to the high yield topics. And I'll be telling you the high yield topics for both AKU and NMDCAT, because we have three subjects that are common to both NMDCAT and AKU: biology, chemistry, and physics. Now the thing is, and like some of these topics, na, if when you've seen the slide, you'll realize कि हाँ यार ये तो important है ही. And how do we figure out what's high yield? High yield is something that has much more probability of coming up in the exam. And why does it have a higher probability? Because MCQs from these topics have come repeatedly in the past. AQ has been taking an entrance exam for decades, and these are the topics that always seem to come in the exam. PMC has been taking the NMDCAT for 2 years, and quest- and these topics are heavily favored in the NMDCAT as well. So, what are the topics? In from biology, you have cells and enzymes, you have biological molecules, and this is like part of the first year syllabus now. And this is the foundation of biology. A person who has done cells and enzymes and biological molecules very thoroughly, ठीक है, मैं तो कहता हूँ कि उसकी पूरी बायोलॉजी जो है ना उसमें मैक्सिमम मार्क्स, he or she will get 20 out of 20 in AQ, he or she will get 68 out of 68 in the NMDCAT, because this is the foundation of biology. And then you have like specialized, you have kingdoms, you have transport, you have locomotion, and cell cycle and genetics. All of these are very high yield. I remember genetics है ना, एक वो Punnett square या pedigree वाला क्वेश्चन ना हर AQ टेस्ट में आया होता है. ठीक है. We had two questions from genetics in our AQ exam. I gave it in 2020, and we had like three MCQs from genetics in 2021. So genetics is very important. And then you have cell cycle and locomotion. These are very important. Kingdoms, okay, especially kingdom bacteria. AKU does tend to include kingdom questions, and I don't know, like in my experience now, and when I've talked to juniors as well, what AKU essentially does is that it picks one kingdom, and it has like it includes 2 to 3 MCQs from the same kingdom. लाइक अगर एनिमेलिया से है ना, तो एनिमेलिया से 2-3 क्वेश्चंस आ जाएंगे, एंड इफ इट्स लाइक प्लांटी तो प्लांटी से भी 2-3 आ जाएंगे. सो यू हैव टू कवर दीज टॉपिक्स in detail so that you can secure maximum marks. I'm not saying that the other topics aren't important. They're just less important. These topics are high yield, and these topics are the one that you should be considering in these next few days, because वही बात है, these topics are more likely to come on your exam, and if you've prepared them well, तो फिर you'll perform well on the exam. And you can see the topics for chemistry and physics as well. You have atomic structure, you have chemical bonding, you have thermochemistry, you have organic chemistry, you have electrochemistry, and you have rate of reactions. Now, I just want you to take a moment and look at the topics. Most of them are from first year. Only organic chemistry is what you cover in second year. But organic chemistry in itself is so extensive that we should like make a separate column for organic chemistry. एक तो बाकी chemistry है, एक organic chemistry है. And organic chemistry tends to come up in various ways in the AKU exam. So you should like keep in mind when you're studying organic chemistry that how it can come in the exam. It might be it might come like what is the catalyst involved, or how should I prepare that for a particular compound, or which compounds give a particular reaction. And similar questions come in the NMDCAT as well. So organic chemistry is something which is heavily favored in both AQ and NMDCAT, and so are the rest of the topics. And I'll be handing physics over to Ryan.
Awesome, guys. So, mashallah, Mohsen has explained biology and chemistry very well. So now comes the part for physics, and then I'll also discuss a few other things that are very vital for the NMDCAT exam and the AQ exam. So, physics ke andar, the higher topics are the ones that you can see in front of you: vectors, work, kinematics, magnetism, modern physics, heat, etc., etc. Now, many kids who tend to apply for MBBS and of course appear in the NMDCAT are weaker in physics, statistically speaking. थोड़े अच्छे भी होते हैं, not saying not every single student is not pretty good at physics, but sadly there is of course कि physics में थोड़ा उनको ज़्यादा time देना पड़ता है, थोड़ा ज़्यादा working करनी पड़ती है. So when you're doing the physics portion, of course, when you're studying it, the best way to do it is do a subtopic. Vector का कोई subtopic है, work का कोई subtopic है, और chapter के subtopics होते हैं. आप subtopic के end of chapter questions करें. You have those literally in the book, the provincial books जो आपको provide की जाती है. You do that, you're going to be fine, okay? And of course, that will allow you to reinforce your concepts. You can use हमारे smart topics भी use कर सकते हैं, again, as I said previously, and that will ensure that you get the highest result possible. आप ज़्यादा अच्छी तरह तैयार कर पाएंगे, ठीक है? Or another good thing about physics is that it is not as difficult because PMC's new syllabus has been updated, and they have stated that 70% is application and 70% is recall and 30% is application based. Therefore, you just need to remember a few values here and there and concepts आपको याद करने पड़ते हैं, and the rest is very easy क्योंकि numericals कम कर दिए गए. So that is something to consider. Okay, so now I would love to hand it over to Ilsa to handle the technicalities of the NMDCAT exam.
Alright, so Assalamualaikum everyone, my name is Ilsa, and today I'm going to be talking about the technicalities which were faced in the year 2021. So when I sat for my national MDCAT in the year 2021, this was the first time that PMC introduced a computerized system for the national MDCAT, and what happened was that we had these tablets, and we had to solve the questions on those tablets. We had to go to centers, test centers, and then solve those questions over there. Now, since the test was online, the test was conducted over a span of a month, like this, it will be conducted this year as well. So what happened was that this came with a disadvantage for students who had their tests in the later dates. So basically hota ye tha ki every day people used to come back from their test centers and they used to share their test experience through different Facebook and WhatsApp groups. So usme ye hota tha ki there were a lot of rumors. Now, before I move on to solving these, how to tackle these rumors, basically, I would like to divide these rumors into two categories. So basically, the first category was questions wali rumors, right? कि questions में मसला है. Questions में किस तरह मसला होता है कि either the options are scattered, either the options are incorrect, either the question is incomplete. तो एक तो ये हो गया. उसके बाद जो था the other rumor, the other category of rumor was the technical problems. Students used to say, okay, you can't go back to questions, you can't skip questions, and there are internet issues, network issues, and all of that tech stuff. So basically, the tech stuff was not true. PMC told this various times. They had released various press releases, and they told everybody कि ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. And honestly, ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. They had cleared this stuff. लेकिन the जो question वाला portion था, that was true, and there were a lot of technicalities in those questions. तो उसमें ये हुआ था कि at the end of the tests, PMC had rechecked their question bank and they had updated their question bank. उससे ये हुआ था कि जो questions थे, they were updated. So the students who had those incorrect questions in their paper, their marks were also updated, and generally their marks were increased, और काफ़ी ज़्यादा भी increase हुए थे. तो ये तो good हो गया. इसके बाद जो मसला था कि जब बच्चे ये रूमर्स बताते थे एक दूसरे को, और वो इस तरह होता था कि they used to post that a friend of mine gave their test and they had a bad experience. So that took a toll on the mental health of a lot of students. और बहुत बार ऐसा होता था कि we used to get forwarded voice messages of people crying कि हमारे साथ ये हो गया, the power went off during the test and stuff like that. तो अब how to tackle this? तो I'll share my experience of what I did. तो मैंने ये किया था कि I tried my best to filter out the information from different Facebook और WhatsApp groups. कहीं कहीं पे ऐसा होता था कि अच्छी इन्फॉर्मेशन भी आती थी. People used to tell कि हमारे पेपर में ये questions आए थे. You just get an insight to how the test center was, how the test was. So you need to learn how to filter the information. You can either do this by asking a friend कि you can either do this by asking a friend कि आप okay, so all right. So you can do this by asking a friend or a sibling कि आप इस group में add हो जाओ and then you tell me the important stuff. So I wouldn't say कि आप बिल्कुल social media से या educational Facebook और WhatsApp group से दूर हो जाओ, but you learn how to filter the information. Do not let those rumors get to your head. ठीक है? क्योंकि बहुत सारी चीज़ें होती हैं टेस्ट में, लोग बहुत सारी बातें करते हैं. Sometimes people don't even give tests and they just share their experiences to demotivate people. So you have to stay away from such people. You need to, as Mohsin said, that you need to believe in yourself. You need to believe that I have worked hard, and then just leave the rest to Allah. Alright, so iske baad what I'm going to tell you about is the score you should aim for. So now this depends on the province you belong to. हर province का अलग एक अलग merit system होता है, एक अलग quota system होता है, and all of that. अलग competition होता है in every province. So I'll be talking about Sindh and Punjab primarily. Sindh में होता है if you're a student from Sindh and the test is of 200 marks, so you should aim that you score from around 160 to 170. That will be a pretty decent score for you to get into a government college, of course. इसके बाद, if you're from Punjab, you should at least aim for a score higher than 175. 180 से ऊपर है तो फिर that's great. क्योंकि पंजाब में the competition is a lot, बहुत tough competition होता है in Punjab. So you need to make sure कि आप उस हिसाब से aim करो. And a lot of people will tell you कि इतनी high expectations नहीं रखनी चाहिए and all of that. But trust me, आपको पता है आपने क्या पढ़ा है और expect करने से कुछ नहीं होता. I mean, even if you expect higher scores, there's no harm in that. So just trust yourself, trust the process, अपना पढ़ो, leave the rest to Allah, and trust me, you will be good to go. Just look out for rumors. Don't let everything get into your head. आप बस अपना पढ़ो, make sure to filter out the right information, and I think you will be pretty good to go. All right, so let's see what do we have next. अच्छा, तो basically next हमारे पास ये है which board to study from. I think this was also covered by the previous speakers. तो the primary board for you should be your जिस board से आपने FSC किया है, ठीक है? क्योंकि for example, if you're a Sindh board student, you can't study the Punjab, the Federal, the Balochistan, and A levels ki books, all of that. So if you studied your province ki books अच्छी तरह in your FSC, then you need to move on the federal textbooks. PMC focuses on the federal textbooks. So make sure to give those a read. बहुत अच्छी books होती हैं, they're colorful and all of that. तो बहुत अच्छे से एक बार आराम से read हो जाएंगी. So just don't panic and you still have time. So just give your best. I think we're pretty much done, and now I would like to hand the floor over to Tushar.
Alright guys, so it's me again. अच्छा, so ये वाली slide जो है हमने इसको specifically for this last few days or last few weeks we've designed this slide, and as you can tell from this slide is actually aimed at tackling some of the difficulties, some of the queries that you might have in the last few weeks or days. So as you basically every year students don't just appear for the NMDCAT, they appear for AKU. Some of them also appear for the NUMS test like I did myself. एंड ये काफ़ी कुछ के लिए ये ट्रांजिशंस कुछ के लिए ये बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है बेसिकली. सो इट्स बैक टू बैक टेस्ट और काफ़ी डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है टू कोप अप विद देम, राइट. एंड अगेन what I would emphasize on once you're done with the once you're done with the AKU test, for those who are appearing for it, I would suggest जो आपका switch होगा towards your NMDCAT preparation, it should not be hushed, or it should not be rather quick, but rather I would suggest कि it should be smooth, right? ये ज़रूरी नहीं है कि the day you're done with your AKU test, you just start preparing for your NMDCAT or other tests the same day, because as Mohsin and as Ryan also previously mentioned in their slides, कि once you're preparing for the AQ test, you're not just preparing for the AQ test. You have literally covered everything that you will be tested upon in other NMDCAT tests as well, right? So you don't have to feel worried about that, because you are able to appear for the test now without even having any more days. So again, but ये नहीं कि जो आखिरी के few weeks बचे हैं, you just let them go to waste. No, as Ryan said, as Mohsin also said, कि you utilize them perfectly. So there should be a smooth transition between your AKU test for those who are preparing for it, and then your NMDCAT test and further tests like the NUMS exam. Again, जो ये आखिरी के दिन होते हैं, students often tend to get stressed out because competition काफ़ी बढ़ चुका है. As you might already know कि every year, talking about AKU specifically, हर साल approximately more than 7,000 students apply. And what happens is कि इंटरव्यू में सिर्फ 500 होते हैं, एंड देन जो टूवर्ड्स द एंड जो बैच के लिए सिलेक्ट होते हैं, दे आर जस्ट 100. एंड ये सिर्फ AKU की बात नहीं है, गवर्नमेंट यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हो या प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हो, हर कहीं कंपटीशन है. And that often stresses out students कि would we be able to make it, would we be able to not make it. But you don't have to worry about, because you should have your goals in front of you. What your actual motive was, कि आपने प्री मैट शुरू ही क्यों किया, प्री मैट की तैयारी आपने जो फर्स्ट है उसको शुरू ही क्यों किया, टू बिकम great doctors, to study 5 years of MBBS from literally the best universities, your dream universities, right? So you should have those goals in front of you, and while you are appearing for all of these tests, because it will help you tackle your stresses. Again, in these last few days, students often tend to get addicted to not just caffeine, but they increase their screen time. वो काफ़ी stress eat करना शुरू हो जाते हैं. And अगर ये कम amount में तो it's okay, but again you should be looking out कि these addictions are not crossing their boundaries, कि these are not over their limits. And whenever you feel they are going beyond that certain limit, make sure that you have someone there to look out for you whenever you're feeling low, whenever you're feeling intimidated by others. You definitely should have someone to talk with, so that you can let it all out, right? It could be a close friend, it could be your family member, but please, if you ever feel like that, have someone to talk to. And again, I just had this thought कि because ये आखिरी के दिन होते हैं, and you get often tense कि you need proper tips, you need stress tips. So we recently launched a journal counseling session as well, and although Abdullah bin Faisal will be talking about it in later on, but ये है कि it's a project where we tackle all these queries जो इस slide पे आपको नजर आ रही है. We tackle all those queries over there, and you would literally be having great counselors from different universities all over Pakistan, and those speakers, those counselors would be there to tackle all your queries. अगर आप stressed हैं, तो they would be answering your queries. I myself am a counselor and I've had some sessions as well, and these were the comments of the people that participated in my GCS. They found that session really helpful, because उनके दिमाग में भी, again just like all of you, उनके दिमाग में भी बहुत सारे queries थी, बहुत they were not able to manage their stress properly. They were feeling quite low because ये जो rescheduling हो रही थी dates की, and then again the huge competition, this was quite hard for them. And me, along with a co-counselor, we handle it all pretty well. So again, we are here for you, and just reach out to any of us. You guys have our socials, you guys have our emails. Reach out to us anytime. So that's my part over here, and now I'll be passing it on to Ilsa.
All right, so I'm back again. अच्छा, now we're coming to the part कि NMD CAT की preparation किस तरह करनी है. I'm just gonna summarize it all up क्योंकि इस पे already थोड़ी सी बात हो चुकी है. तो as I mentioned before कि your primary book is your जिस बोर्ड से आपने FSC किया है उसकी book. All right. उसके बाद you should go over to federal board books. But however, if you're a federal board student, so you should read Punjab board की books. सही है, because we all know PMC favors federal and Punjab books more. इसके अलावा YouTube is your best friend. ठीक है. I'm not gonna specify any channels on YouTube क्योंकि सबका learning pace अलग होता है. Maybe I understand through animations and you understand through board पे written lectures, right? So what you got to do is, and that's what I did during my MCAT prep, was that अगर मुझे कोई भी topic समझ नहीं आ रहा था, for example, let's say Krebs cycle, it still haunts me though. So I would just type on YouTube Krebs cycle animation क्योंकि as I mentioned मुझे animations बहुत पसंद है, मुझे उससे बहुत अच्छा याद हो जाता है. तो you just type whatever you don't understand और इतनी सारी videos आ जाती हैं उस topic पे that your concept would get crystal clear, trust me. बहुत सारे लोग इंडियन यूट्यूबर्स को प्रेफर करते हैं, बहुत सारे लोग लोकल्स को प्रेफर करते हैं. सो यू जस्ट नीड टू सी व्हाट वर्क्स द बेस्ट फॉर यू. और वो इसी तरह होगा कि जब आप वीडियोस देखते रहोगे, शॉर्ट वीडियोस होती हैं यूट्यूब पे, कोई लंबे लंबे लेक्चर्स देखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, जस्ट क्लियर आउट योर कॉन्सेप्ट. इसके अलावा द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग जो बहुत सारे लोग मिस आउट कर लेते हैं, दैट इज़ अ गुड प्रैक्टिस रिसोर्स. बाय दैट आई मीन अ रिलायबल प्रैक्टिस रिसोर्स जहाँ पे जिसको यूज़ करके you're sure कि इसके answers are absolutely correct, इसकी explanations are absolutely correct, and it also has references जहाँ पे अगर आपको कोई चीज़ समझ नहीं आ रही तो you can go and just read it out again, right? तो don't worry, आपको ये लगेगा कि इतनी सारी चीज़ें एक practice resource में कैसे हो सकती हैं, but we at Premedical.pk by MedAngle are at your service. तो आई थिंक दैट्स प्रीटी मच इट. हमने कंटेंट भी कवर कर दिया और हमने प्रैक्टिस रिसोर्सेज भी कवर कर दी. नाउ आई वुड लाइक टू हैंड द फ्लोर ओवर टू अब्दुल्ला बिन फैसल.
Thank you so much, Elsa. That was indeed a great explanation. So we'll be moving forward, guys, and I hope that abhi tak ke liye it was a great explanation, and I believe all the contents were covered in a pretty good way. So we'll be moving on towards the next slide, and okay, so here is a very interesting and a very you know it's very exciting to put this offer out at this point because the situation is like that कि आपको आपके AKU टेस्ट के लिए और आपके MDCAT टेस्ट के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है resources key, right? And what Premedical.pk by MedAngle is doing is offering you a promo code as it usually does at its webinars. But the good thing about this promo code is you're gonna get a 10% off on a premium subscription, which now has been updated to basically be it contains features that are basically optimized for both the AKU test and the NMDCAT, and you can basically prepare for both of them side by side, which was basically the major aim of today's webinar. So the platform basically does not only contain questions now. If you sign up and get the premium subscription, you'll also be getting group counseling sessions. You'll also be getting access to AKU mock tests and an MDCAT mock tests. If you sign up, you'll also be getting access to a long and lasting feedback session and a feedback program with your counselors. In Kesat, you'll have the GCS. So there is a lot of stuff in store now, and not just the questions itself. So that is the important announcement. Take a screenshot, guys. Have this promo code saved for you, because if you end up buying this the subscription using this promo code, you will get a 10% off on the premium subscription. And the most important thing is that this is going to last for 24 hours. So you need to make sure that you use it within 24 hours and do not delay it. So that being said, we are going to move on towards the next slide. All right. So I just covered most of it, but here's a few interesting features as well. सबसे पहले we are going to introduce a WhatsApp group after this webinar ends. जिसका QR code is available on your screen. I believe it is visible to all of you. We are also going to do, an AQ mock week that is still extended, and it's extended till 12th August. So what you can do is you can literally, go and attempt AQ mocks, which are absolutely free. The third thing you can do is you can go ahead and you can register for group counseling sessions, which are absolutely free at this point, and you will get to go in a group of 10 to 15 students, and you will attend a session which will have two counselors, which will both be medical students from across the best medical universities in Pakistan. Adding to that, what you can do is you can go to your premed.blog website, which is basically a blog that Premedical.pk by MedAngle has recently made a post on, and that post is basically how to ace your AKU test, which also contains personalized suggestions and personalized insights from several AKU students, not just 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and you will see their quotations written with every single thing. We also have an index, so you can basically click on whatever content point you want to take yourself to, and you can open it and you can read specifically about that. So you don't necessarily need to have to read the whole blog. You can just literally check the index, click on the point that you want to go to, and you can open it directly. So that are some of the new features that we have. Now I want to go ahead and I want to show you कि हमने जो promo code announce किया पिछली side में, how can you basically go ahead and apply that promo code on the website. So उसके लिए I will be going ahead and I will be sharing my screen. You guys can let me know if it is visible to you at this point. I have I shared my screen right about? Oh, let me open the tab. So here's the window and the tab, and I'm thinking that, yeah, I'm thinking ये अब आप लोगों को available हो जानी चाहिए. So could someone sort of confirm के if it is available to all of you? क्या आप लोग सारे मेरी देख सकते हैं? Ryan, anyone, if anyone can confirm.
Yes,
Is
Abdullah,
my
we
screen
can.
open?
Yes, Abdullah, we can.
All right, perfect. So what we're gonna do here is that first of all, what you're gonna do is you're gonna open and premedical.pk, okay, which is basically the premedical.pk domain of MedAngle. Once you open it, it will appear to you in this way. So you'll see this is your main page. Now, how will you gain access to the platform using the promo code itself? So सबसे पहले you have to go and you have to log in here. ठीक है? यहाँ पे you'll have to type your details. अब होगा क्या, if you don't have a MedAngle account, तो you can either log in with Facebook. यहाँ पे click किया. You can either sign up with Facebook, or you can take an invitation code from any of our team members, जो core team members हैं या हमारे PLs हैं, and you will enter that invitation code here, and then you will be able to sign up for the platform. ठीक है? उसके बाद you will go to the इसके बाद once you sign up for it, which let me open my account first, and then I'll show you कि किस तरीके से you can put the क्या कहते हैं access code in. So for that, basically जब आपका login हो जाता है, you go to subscribe वाला part and then you put that in. So for that, I will share my screen once again. But before I do that, I want to move on and I want to go back to the presentation and go ahead and make a few more important announcements. So let's move on and let's see what we have in store after this. So a very important announcement. You guys are very familiar with the AKU mock tests that we have every year. We also have an MDCAT mock test, but now we have an important announcement for all of you. कि ना इस दफ़ा सिर्फ एक mock test नहीं होने वाला. इस दफ़ा we are going to have more than one mock test. In fact, we are going to have 4 mock tests that are going to come up very, very soon. So you need to, keep in touch with the socials of premedical.pk and MedAngle itself, ताकि जैसे ही जो है वो mock test announce हो, आपको फौरन पता चल जाए कि हमारे mock test आने वाले हैं, and you can quickly register for that. ठीक है? So the first and the second mock test are going to be completely free. ठीक है? Even for the third and fourth mock test for the NMDCAT, we are not going to charge anything extra. But the thing is that we will limit that to only our premium subscribers. So that is a perk for those who are going ahead and buying the premium subscription, that you will also be getting 2 of the paid mock tests for an MDCAT. Just an extra tool to make sure that your preparation is in line. All right, moving on towards the next announcement. Let's move ahead. All right, so at this point, I genuinely feel really, really proud to announce Smart Sessions by MedAngle. This is a new series in which we have established sessions on YouTube that are personalized physical sessions recorded in the format of podcasts, where we have medical students and a lot of other officials sit down and talk about different topics. The very first episode that is going to go live right after this webinar ends, we will prompt up on the socials and we'll show how you can access the smart sessions, which will be available on our YouTube channel. The first episode is going to talk about AKU and an MDCAT test and how you can prepare simultaneously. So just for that, I have a small preview prepared for all of you guys. So let me play that preview first, and then we will move on towards whatever is left. So playing the preview right about now.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in into MedAngle's podcast. Let's specifically talk about how to put the U in AKU. लोगों की चूँकि एक मिसकंसेप्शन होती है कि AKU के टेस्ट है और NMD CAT है तो उसके लिए अलग-अलग तैयारी करनी पड़ेगी.
But I think it's not like that. If you do well in the AKU test, I believe you are over prepared for the MDCAT.
There will always be one right option. You just got to think about it.
Concepts बहुत ज़्यादा strong होने चाहिए. How did you guys prepare?
Animalia Kingdom is at times the most assessed chapter on the AQ test.
All right, so that was a small preview of what's coming up. I believe all of you liked the intro and whatever preview that I had for all of you. That being said, all right, we are going to go ahead and inaugurate the Q&A session. But before we do that, we are going to do one last thing. We are basically going to go ahead, and I'm going to request one of the team members if they can go ahead and share how to basically enter the promo code into the website. If we have that set up, nahi to we will switch that to the end of the Q&A. Either way, don't worry about that. I'm seeing a lot of comments, तो हम देखते हैं कि कौन कर लेता है ये डेमो कौन दे सकता है. So meanwhile, our team is prepping for it. Let's move on towards the comments and let's see what
the Q&A session.
Yeah.
And everybody, please send in your questions in the comments, okay, so that we can answer them. And I'll start answering some of the questions that you have already sent. And that is that. Wait a minute.
Hello, Mohsin. I'm so sorry to interrupt you right now, but I believe that I can show how to redeem the code that we have. So, of course, our inshallah users can also do it. So let me just share the screen right now, and please do confirm whether you can view it. Okay. So just give me one moment, and I shall open it. 1 second, please.
I can already see the comments pour again, so we'll just quickly get done with that, and then we're going to move on, and we're going to tackle all the questions that are coming in, inshallah.
Yes,
so you guys
absolutely.
don't worry. Just keep your questions right with you, or jaise hi we move on to the Q&A, we're going to start answering questions.
Of course. Now I'm just going to start.
That's pretty cool.
And click share window here and share. All right. Could you confirm whether you can see my screen? I think you can see my screen now, right?
Yep, it's now visible. Yep, go ahead.
Awesome. So, sabse pehle, of course, we're going to go on to google.com, and then we're going to go to Premedical.pk. We can search it on Google, and when we press enter, it should load up, of course, and I got redirected directly to Premedical.pk by MedAngle. Now, I'm going to go to login, of course, because I have my account already made, and as Abdullah bin Faisal mentioned, you can make it through the Facebook account right here, log in with Facebook, and then you will have to fill certain details. Or, God forbid, if you do not have a Facebook account, you can click on I do not have a MedAngle account and click on I have an invitation, and one of our team members will get it for you. So, I'm just going to click on login with Facebook because I already do have an account, and I'm going to show you how we can redeem this particular code that we have for you. So, of course, now we have this amazing animation of the glow is moving around. So I'm going to go to the menu. And on the menu, it's going to open up this. My dashboard, my performance, and whatnot. And I shall go to subscriptions. Awesome. Now, of course, you have this option. Good morning, Rayan. You don't have a Premedical.pk premium yet. So you can upgrade now, and you can enter the premium code. I want to, of course, enter the code. And then, of course, if I enter it right here, and if I write ENDGAME 2022, which is Endgame 2022, End Game, all in all caps, of course, Game 2020. And
Oh,
I'm
and
gonna
let me stress on the fact that you will have to type it out and not just copy paste it.
yes, that is very important. If you copy paste it, then there will be an error in the system. It is best to type it down. And besides, it's a few letters only. So I'm going to click on redeem now, and it's going to load a tad bit, and then I shall be given the. It's going to be just loading 1 second. Oh, my apologies. I think I made an error. 1 second, please. One second. Oh, okay. I think I made an error. So let me just go to upgrade now. And on upgrade now, if I choose, of course, I want to give the NMDCAT whatnot, and I want to pay in Pakistani rupees. And if I want to just, let's say I want to pay via Jazz Cash or something, just for an example, and then I will have to put mobile number and my email. So if I just put my mobile number and my email right here, because I do not believe that 1 second, please. Right. So submit, and I should be getting the discount code right here. No, I'm not getting discount code. 1 second, please. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment.
Yeah, you can do that and you can get that figured out. And meanwhile, what we can do is that we can start moving on towards whatever questions we have, because I believe the audience has been waiting for a very long time. अच्छा जी, तो Q&A वाली slide लगाते हैं सबसे पहले, and let's see what questions we have. So I'm going to start sharing the questions one by one, and उसके बाद हम आगे चलते हैं, ठीक है? So okay, the very first question we have is, it's right about on your screen right now, ठीक है? This question is, what were the main points of how to prepare for AKU and an MDCAT side by side? Okay. So could someone go ahead and highlight the main points? The first and second one वो मैं कर देता हूँ. So AKU or an MDCAT का सबसे important चीज़ ये है that you need to understand the syllabus is common and overlapped. ठीक है. जो AKU का syllabus है, it is very extensive, which means कि an MDCAT का जो भी syllabus है वो सारा का सारा AKU में cover हो जाता है, with the exception of, I believe, only hardly one chapter, which is probably light instruments वाला chapter है जो कि AKU के test में नहीं included, वरना everything is. So yeah, so apart from obviously English portion जो कि AKU के test में नहीं है, everything else is covered. So first of all, the syllabus is common. Second of all, the questions are MCQ based questions. ठीक है, तो इसका मतलब है कि when you're practicing MCQ questions, you're basically practicing for both of the tests that are coming up. Where I do believe कि AQ के questions जो हैं वो थोड़े से ज़्यादा complex होते हैं, but I believe if you practice properly, so they won't be a challenge for you. And if you, as a lot of us have already made it clear, if you do good at the AQ test, there's a high probability that you are all set to do good in your NMDCAT as well. I kind of believe that I answered the question. So, we can move on towards whatever next question that we have. All right. Okay, so these are a lot of questions. Let me pick the ones out. Okay, so let's address this question. Tushar, would you want to go ahead and take this question?
All right. So ये जो question है, I also talked about it in one of my slides. और ये again I would like to emphasize on this कि there's no fixed number कि इतने MCQs correct होने चाहिए for you to be able to clear your AKU test. And as I already mentioned कि there is a cutoff that varies year to year, right? So हमारे year में, for example, when Abdullah and I appeared for the test, it was 60%, around 60% for both the science and maths reasoning part, and these three sciences. Again, so because the cutoff varies, so again the number of MCQs that you need to get right also varies. But as Mohsin already mentioned, the best tip over here would be that you look out for the negative reasoning part, and the wise thing would be to not attempt questions that you feel like you might get wrong, because there's a 0.25 part that you lose if you get a question wrong. So that's a total of 1.25 marks. So that's how you can maximize your marks. how you would be getting maximum marks. And that's what I did as well. There's no harm in leaving questions blank if you do not know the answer to them. I remember कि मैंने खुद भी approximately 10 MCQ छोड़े थे because I did not know the answers to them and I did not want to get marks deducted as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. So moving on towards the next question, that is, are there tricky questions in the NMDCAT test? It's kind of it's a very nice question actually, because an MDCAT test के अंदर the questions you get are generally a little they have a higher proportion of recall questions. So you will see कि आपकी book की जो lines हैं काफ़ी सारे questions ऐसे हैं जो कि बहुत ज़्यादा similar हैं, इतने ज़्यादा कि आपको लगेगा कि book की ही line उठा के उन्होंने पूछ लिया हमारे से. So there is a higher proportion of recall based questions, but yes, there are a good proportion of tricky questions as well. And if you read the syllabus properly, you will understand that it is compulsory for PMC to have tricky questions and rather simpler ones, both in a percentage together in one test, right? So I guess that would answer your question. All right. So आगे चलते हैं. A very important question that I see here is, okay, so we have a lot of questions that are asking, okay, what practice books to follow and what are the right practice, all of that and everything. I see there's this person, Asad Ali, he's asking, I don't know about practice books, but okay, so this is just generally a review. But okay, let's go ahead and let's talk about practice questions and practice books and everything generally. So I have this criteria in my mind, and I believe all of the other people in the webinar will agree with this. Okay, you need to ensure that the question banks you're using, they are elaborate and they are closest to perfection. कि उनके जो आंसर कीज हैं, जो उनकी the layout they have, the grammatical errors, they are minimal. ठीक है, so first thing that you need to make sure of. Number two, they are easily accessible and cheap. Nobody should be selling you question banks in a very high price, ठीक है, because they're literally question banks. Number three, they should be good explanations and good thought processes along with these questions, जो कि आपको ये समझाएं कि आपने क्वेश्चन का जो आंसर चूज किया है वो क्यों किया है, और जो आंसर नहीं चूज किया वो क्यों नहीं चूज किया, राइट? सो ऐसा क्राइटेरिया अपने जेन में बैठा लें, एंड देन आई गेस व्हेन यू गो अहेड एंड व्हेन यू लुक एट क्वेश्चन बैंक्स, तो यू विल ऑटोमेटिकली बी एबल टू एनालाइज कि कौन से क्वेश्चन बैंक्स विल वर्क फॉर यू एंड कौन से विल नॉट. But the most important thing is that the question banks that you have available, start practicing for them right this instant instead of going ahead and looking for question banks. Okay, so at least get something done. I guess that would be one of the most important points जो अभी हम tackle कर सकते हैं. Okay, so another question. Fatma Masood is asking, what constants do we need to remember for physics? Who would want to go ahead and answer this question?
I'll answer this, Abdullah.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, Fatma, that the constant that you need to remember for physics are some of the basics one that you get in questions. Again, NMDCAT, you're not supposed to bring a calculator, and the same is for the EQ test. So the only constants that you need to remember are the ones that have easy values, like gravitational acceleration, g की value क्या होती है, and even if the constants themselves are a bit tricky ना, you can always approximate them. g की value 9.8 की बजाय आप 10 use कर सकते हैं, and this is something that you should do. बाकी you should know the values of the trigonometric values, like cos 0, 30, 45, 60, 90 की क्या value होती है, and the same for sine and tan. These are the constants that you need to remember. The particularly the ones that come up in your textbook a lot, and the two that come up in the numericals of your textbook, and because these are the ones that are going to appear in the MCQ. ज्यादा जो मुश्किल कांस्टेंट्स हैं
I
उनकी
think
आपको
we're
वैल्यू
losing
नहीं
Mohsen.
जाया करनी चाहिए.
नहीं, इनकी आवाज
Uh,
आ रही है, it's perfectly fine.
yeah, and so the thing is, like जिस तरह
Yeah,
वो
I
k की
believe
वैल्यू
that
होती है in
that's
electrostatics, so you don't need to like memorize them. We've made a cheat sheet for constants as well, and inshallah we'll be sending that out in the group as well, the WhatsApp group that we've made.
all right. All right, all right. Okay, so let us go ahead and let us take the next question. I just wanted to make sure okay, I am completely and perfectly audible to everyone. So if anyone can confirm.
Yes, you're perfectly audible, my friend.
Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead and let's take the next question. All right, so a lot of people are asking for, how to redeem the access code. Ryan, can you go do that again and show everybody के access code कैसे promo code कैसे redeem करना है? Is that possible?
Sure, 1 second. I will just switch to this particular. Yep, here I am. Okay.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, so सबसे पहले तो I apologize for the previous error that was coming up, guys. Now, the thing is, I will send you the link on chat on our. You can see it on our links in our link in the bio on Instagram on our socials, and you can also see the link
अच्छा जी.
right here. You
All
have
right,
to
so we have a
follow.
question.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Ryan, go ahead.
I'm audible, right? Okay. So
Yeah.
this is the link that is to be followed in order to gain access and of course redeem the code. So सबसे पहले हम नीचे जाएंगे. Of course आप NMD CAT students हैं and you will have to make a few selections. NMD CAT मैं select करता हूँ because NMD CAT मुझे देना है. That's already MBBS है लेकिन वापसी NMD CAT देना है. ठीक है. और फिर मैं of course एक pre medical student हूँ और वापसी में लिखूंगा which year medical school year are you in. मैं pre med हूँ. And then how would you like to pay? Now the best thing is we have the options of a bank transfer, credit card and a debit card जिसमें आपको further 5% discount मिलता है. Easy पैसा and Jazz Cash. And of course we've made it ताकि आप लोग के लिए आसानी से transfer करना हो, issues ना आए ताकि of course because some people do have credit cards, some people prefer other methods of payment. So let's say I go with Easy Paisa just for an example. And did anyone or any organization refer to you? मुझे तो webinar नहीं कर दिया था, ठीक है, so and of course MedAngle नहीं किया था. And if you have a promo code and enter it here, so I will type in ENDGAME 2020 and then I shall click submit. Now this will take a few seconds to load to the next page in which it shall share all the details with me. Now, you successfully have placed an order. Thanks for ordering, Raya. You're almost done, TK, and order status is pending. Order paid is obviously not yet. Now, as you saw कि पिछले हमारे 1999 rupees मतलब कि 2000 रुपया था हमारे that we were charging, of course, but now that the discount has been applied, you're only going to have to pay 17.99. Now, आप ये ट्रांसफर करा लें, इजी पैसा करा लें, जैज़ कैश करा लें. मैंने इजी पैसा सेलेक्ट किया था एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स हियर आर द डिटेल्स फॉर द पेमेंट्स. इजी पैसा, बैंक ट्रांसफर या जैज़ कैश या जो भी हो. एंड देन आफ्टर यू ऑफ कोर्स मेक द पेमेंट, इफ लेट्स से मैं अगर इजी पैसे से मैं पेमेंट कराता हूँ एक मर्चेंट पे जाके ट्रांसफर कराता हूँ, देन आई वुड गेट ए ट्रांजैक्शन रिसीट. उसका स्क्रीनशॉट लेके आई वुड सेंड इट ऑफ कोर्स टू द MedAngle team. If you have contact with any of the core members, you can contact them, you can contact us, or of course you can contact us on our socials, Facebook, Instagram पे, ठीक है, with your username as well. Of course username जरूरी है when you make an account on MedAngle. And then of course we will quickly verify your purchase and send you the access code, और फिर आप वो access code redeem section पे use कर सकते हैं. And of course that will be easy, and inshallah that should be easy as well. And as you can see on the right, total 17.99 via Easy Paisa with promo code ENDGAME 2022. So I think that should be it on how to redeem the code. Should we go into the Q&A section again, Abdullah?
Yes, I think that is a good idea. Let's do that. I'll add the
Awesome.
Q&A slide. All right. So again, quite a couple of questions यहाँ पे. All right. So let's go ahead and okay. So a couple of people are asking about the WhatsApp group. So guys, there's this WhatsApp group that we have created. जिसके जो link है WhatsApp group का, that has been sent to to an emails to participants who registered for the webinar, and we also shared a QR code in the presentation. So I'm going to go back and show you the QR code. I believe it is on your screen. You just have to scan this QR code that is on your screen, and basically you'll be all set to join the WhatsApp group. You can take a screenshot however you want, just kind of you just scan it from your phone. And if you don't know how to do that, the easiest way I believe is to open Google. जो आप Google की app है उसके search के right side पे there's an option for a camera, and you can open that and you can just scan your QR code. Now moving back towards the questions that we're having. So the next question. All right. We have a question that asks, is it important to do permutations and combinations for math reasoning? So it is an interesting question, and I believe that you do not have to do that. Okay, but just in case you want to have a reference, here's what you can do. You can go ahead and you can refer to the syllabus for maths. in the SAT 1 math syllabus. ठीक है. As soon as you do that, you will understand कि क्या ये उधर मौजूद है. अगर नहीं मौजूद तो you probably don't have to study for that. All right, let's take another question. Um, Meanwhile, you can keep your questions coming, guys. Acha, once Mahnoor Malik is asking, which one portion should we do first? Science reasoning, math reasoning, or biophysics chemistry? I think Tushar can go ahead and answer this question.
Acha, so I'm assuming ke by this question you mean ke how you should be attempting your test, right? So कोई एक specific pattern नहीं है कि how you should be going about your test. It's not कि पहले reasoning कर लो and then you attempt all the three sciences, या पहले you attempt the three sciences and then you attempt the reasoning. What I do and what I did and what I still do is I attempt all my exams in the pattern I'm provided, क्योंकि I feel like मेरी तैयारी सबके लिए equally है, so there's no point in giving preference to any one subject over the other. But again, मैंने ये भी कुछ लोगों को देखा है कि because they are prepared more in some subjects or some components compared to others, so वो ये करते हैं कि they attempt those components first, right? सो हमारे साल में ये हुआ था कि जो रीजनिंग पार्ट था इट वाज मैनेजेबल इस सेंस में कि यू वर एबल टू अटेम्प्ट देम इन द 40 मिनट्स बिकॉज हर कंपोनेंट के 20 MCQs, राइट? सो अगर यू फील लाइक कि the reasoning component is easy, I would not suggest doing it in the beginning, but rather focusing on the sciences first because उसमें negative marking का concept भी है. So give your maximum time to the three sciences, biology, chemistry and physics. हमारे टाइम पे जो physics था it was like really difficult और हमें मुझे अभी भी याद है there were questions that required me to invest more than 5 minutes per MCQs. So यही wisest choice यही होगी कि you go over the paper once you get it, you like have a quick brief view and then decide in the moment ke what you should be attempting first. It could be physics, it could be biology, it could be chemistry, or it could be any of the one sciences. I think that pretty much sums it up. Back to you.
That does answer the question. Thank you so much, Tushar. Okay, so we have another very important question. Sayyida Maliha is asking that I am an A-level student, so if I need help, if I should focus on Federal or Punjab board book, it's hard to do from both. I feel like this is a very important question and ऐसे challenges हम सबको ही face हुए हैं अपने time पे. Personally, I would suggest that you kind of try to focus on any one of those boards. ठीक है? Generally, for A-level students, I have seen कि Federal board की books, they're more user friendly. ठीक है? But if that is not the case for you and you think Punjab board ki book works for you, you can go ahead with that and choose one board because I believe 95 to 99% of the books are literally the same. ठीक है? They have the same content, the same facts, and are generally very, very close to the syllabus. आप दोनों में से कोई एक book ले लें, and if you really are worried, you can just review the book at the end, एक दफ़ा, and that will do the job for you. ठीक है? इसके अलावा, if you still face problems doing FSC की intermediate board की books, you can also refer to SAT 2 की books because generally a lot of A-level students who face difficulty reading books from FSC switch to SAT की books because they're sort of a bridge between A-level books and FSC books. ठीक है? All right. So there's a question that says, is kingdom fungi important? I think any one of you can basically take this question. I believe Ilsa can go ahead, and Ilsa, if you can talk about kingdom fungi and just talk about kingdoms in general. Okay, what do you think about them?
All right, so for MDCAT, kingdom fungi is not a part of the syllabus, and for MCAT in general, kingdoms are not very important. Just kingdom animalia is included in the syllabus, and it is not really high yield. I mean, you can't cover the whole of kingdom animalia, so you just need to read it superficially. As far as the AKU test is concerned, kingdoms are important for the test, and you should go through kingdom fungi as well.
All right, ठीक है. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay. So yeah, it's kind of hard sorting to all. Okay, let's move on to the newer questions that we have. हम थोड़ा पीछे चले गए थे. All right. So there's one question that says, how similar is the AKU test to AKU Education Board HSSC 1 and 2 exams for the sciences part? I think Tushar has good experience on this. Tushar, you can go ahead and you can answer this part because you also belong to the same board, right?
Yeah, pretty much right. So as Abdullah already mentioned कि मैंने जो अपने HSC की थी, not just SHSC but also SSC, मैंने आगा खान यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जामिनेशन बोर्ड से की थी. Now, coming back to the question, how similar is the AKU test to the AKU EB, HSSC 1 and 2 exams for the sciences part in general? Um, so I would not say that there is similarity in the sense that questions वही आते हैं, but there is a similarity in the pattern. There is no link between the AKU test and the AKU EB assessed questions, but there is a similarity in the kind of questions that they assess you on. For example, एक common like resemblance between that जो मैंने दोनों के बीच में देखी थी कि both of them assess you on three cognitive levels, that was knowledge, understanding, and application. And so both of those tests.
Mhm.
So it is a good choice कि if you have free time on your hands, you can go over AQEB's assess questions, AQEB's HSSC 1 and 2 assess questions, and it would provide you a good insight into the sciences part के questions, because there would be pictorial questions, there would be graphical questions, there would be numerical questions, and I believe if you go through them, you would definitely get a good insight ke the kind of questions that might appear on your AKU entry test.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that answer, Tushar. I love how interactive the audience is. मतलब questions आ रहे हैं और फिर लोग answer भी कर रहे हैं उनको in the chat. So that's a nice thing to note. All right. So a very common and a very repeated question that I'm seeing is how to manage anxiety during the exam. Let's pick one of those questions and put them on the screen quickly. Okay. So Fatma Masood is asking how to manage anxiety during the exam. ठीक है. I believe Ilsa did cover this part very well, and all of the others did as well. But I'm gonna let Ilsa do her thing and kind of summarize her part for this question.
Alright, so सबसे पहले तो I would say that don't get overwhelmed. ये ऐसा time होता है, all of us have been through the MCAT time and it is really stressful. So what I would say is that find someone who you can talk to. This has been talked about by the previous speakers as well, that you need to find someone who you can rant to, ठीक है, basically. So for me, it was my mother. For you, it might be your friend, it might be your sibling, or anyone at all, right? But you need to let that anxiety out. Other than that, आप किस तरह anxiety control कर सकते हो? You do what you like. You either go for a run, for a 10 minutes run. 10 minutes किसी पढ़ाई के अलावा किसी चीज़ में लगाने में आपका कोई नुकसान नहीं होगा. If you like painting, maybe you can paint. I like watching TV shows, तो वो जो छोटे छोटे TV shows होते हैं 20 minutes के episodes वाले, I used to watch at least one of आधा तो मैं देख ही लेती थी ताकि I can manage my anxiety level. Other than that, जब एग्जाम की सिचुएशन होती है, now one thing should be pretty clear to all of you, पढ़ के सब जाते हैं, but the difference between a person who scores well and a person who does not score well is how you behave during the exam. ठीक है, you need to keep your nerves calm test के दौरान. Test के बीच में I'll share my experience. I think this question will be answered pretty much by that. For example, I remember it was my second physics का question and it had a word जो मैंने आज तक कभी नहीं सुना था. I got really confused और तब ये सारे rumors भी थे कि पता नहीं क्या होगा, skip नहीं कर सकते, ये नहीं कर सकते, all of that stuff. But what I did was कि I did not think back on that question, right? आप एक क्वेश्चन आपने आंसर कर लिया, just move on, forget about it. You might want to go back to that question, you might want to change the answer, but only change the answer if you are 100% sure. उसके अलावा don't just mess up your whole paper because your anxiety is getting on you. Make sure to drink water, वहाँ पे पानी वगैरह भी देते हैं, and make sure to remember your goal. उस वक्त भी during the test बहुत लंबा test होता है, the NMDCAT. The AKU is a relatively shorter test. It has a shorter duration. Like an MCAT, since it's a really long test, you need to make sure that you don't pull an all-nighter before the test. You eat something good before the test. ठीक है? नींद पूरी होनी चाहिए. You are well fed. You are well slept. If you do this, आपकी anxiety level automatically थोड़ी सी normal हो जाएगी. उसके अलावा make sure that you attempt timed test mode के questions बिफोर द टेस्ट. इससे आपको ये होगा, आपको टाइम मैनेजमेंट का आइडिया हो जाएगा. एक बार यू आर कॉन्फिडेंट दैट यू आर गोना मैनेज द टाइम, then the test will be really easy for you and you'll be able to manage your time, your anxiety. उसके अलावा please reach the test center early. बहुत लोग होते हैं वो टेस्ट शुरू हो चुका होता है उसके बाद आते हैं, तो प्लीज़ डोंट डू दैट. प्लीज़ मेक श्योर अगर आपका टेस्ट सेंटर काफ़ी दूर है तो यू कैलकुलेट टाइम एंड एवरीथिंग, क्योंकि let's be honest, it's a once in a lifetime chance. You can give the test again, of course, लेकिन वो जो होता है वो वाला एक टेस्ट that is once in a lifetime chance, and you don't want कोई गाड़ी खराब हो गई या इस तरह के मसले, you don't want those reasons to ruin your test and raise your anxiety levels. So I think that's pretty much clear, and just believe in yourself again and leave the rest to Allah. You'll do really well, inshallah.
That's a very nice explanation by Ilsa, and I believe I believe that your mental health is one thing that, even though you cannot eliminate all the stress you have, but you can still manage it, and managing it does half of the job of preparing for the test for you, because that's literally all that stands between you and acing the test. We'll take the next question from Mariam Sheikh, which asks, from which book, for example, FTB or PTB, do we use for organic chemistry? यानी हम किस किताब से organic chemistry की तैयारी करें? I believe I personally
I'll take
used
this.
the Punjab board book, but I don't really have enough experience to compare, so I'm gonna let Ryan do the question. If you can go ahead.
Okay, absolutely. So, regarding the Federal Textbook Board and the Punjab Textbook Board for the organic chemistry, specifically the organic chemistry portion, देखिए, because what I did during my preparation is I was a very paranoid student. सब शुरू की बिल्कुल ये हुआ था कि मैं सारी की सारी किताबें खरीद चुका था, and I was literally so confused. I wanted to see, okay, मैं पंजाब बोर्ड से पढ़ूँ, सिंध बोर्ड से पढ़ूँ, फेडरल बोर्ड से पढ़ूँ. But alhamdulillah, when I started categorizing it, I found out that honestly Federal Board and Punjab Board are almost similar, and they're very good for chemistry in general. कि organic and organic transition elements सब कुछ उस दोनों में अच्छे हैं, ठीक है. I personally used the Federal Text Board book क्योंकि फिर मैं फर्स्ट ईयर की भी मुझे ज़्यादा प्रेफर कर रहा था फेडरल बोर्ड की, एंड सेकेंड ईयर की भी एज वेल फॉर द फिजिकल केमिस्ट्री, एंड मैंने उसको कंटिन्यूटी रखने के लिए ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री को यूज़ किया. बट इफ आई एम वेरी ऑनेस्ट, यू कैन यूज ईदर बुक. both books are very good, ठीक है. And let's say Mariam, for example, Mariam Sheikh ने जिन्होंने सवाल पूछा है, let's say you were from the federal board, तो आप फेडरल टेक्स्ट बुक बोर्ड को ही चलाएं. अगर आप पंजाब बोर्ड से तो आप पंजाब बोर्ड बुक से चलाएं, ठीक है. तो आपकी तैयारी is going to be perfect. You don't need to worry about it. Either book is perfectly fine. And yep, that should be it, I guess.
All right, thank you so much, Rehan. Again, a very good explanation. All right, so we are having quite a few questions that keep coming in, and we really want to answer all of those, but since due to time constraints, the webinar has already gone pretty long. We are going to kind of move towards ending the webinar. And before I end, I want to genuinely thank all the speakers who made it to the webinar, who shared their experiences and stuck throughout. I want to thank the audience for being so pleasant and so interactive, for helping out, for basically being here, and embracing all the guidance that is given out to you. I want to thank everyone that made this webinar possible. A very special thanks to Humera, an associate who made this amazing presentation. And I guess that is pretty much it. Thank you so much, guys. Hoping to see you using the platform or reaching out to us, regardless of whatever questions you have. We would love to answer all of those. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And that being said, I'm going to end the broadcast. Allah Hafiz.